Hello, everybody. It's me, Alec, and we're back at it again with another episode of the Smashing Brands podcast. So this time, I have another special guest. We have Christa Tuttle.
Hi, Alec. Nice to meet you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited for you to be on the show. So, can you briefly describe how you spend your time on planet Earth?
Yeah, work-wise, I am the founder and CEO of Launch Marketing. We focus on B2B tech companies to help them launch, grow, and build a sales pipeline that kicks ass. Outside of work, I am a mom of two beautiful girls, 14 and 16. I'm also an avid equestrian. Try to find that balance between work, family, and personal growth and stretching myself. So that's me.
Awesome. Well, you're pretty much like a digital marketing pioneer, aren't you, in some sense?
I have never thought of myself as that, but I guess technically that would be very true. We've been in business for, gosh, 22 years now. So have literally seen from fax marketing to AI and everything in between.
Yeah, so who was your first client back in like 2001?
Oof. One of my very first clients actually started with a couple was all B2B tech. And so one was on-site computer solutions.
Hmm.
Those were more in the kind of IT services and managed services space, which at that point in time was fairly new. And the other one was I want to say their name was Whisperwire. It's a group of serial entrepreneurs that I've now worked with them across multiple companies. From memory, the first one was Whisperwire, which was more in kind of the technology health tech space.
Awesome. So what were like some of the marketing strategies back then? Like what did that look like? Was it digital marketing? Was it not? Like walk me through, okay, I became a client of yours in 2001. I'm a B2B tech company. Like we're coming off of the dot-com boom. Like what does that look like?
Man, I'm going to have to dust off the cockers in my brain from that because
Yeah.
that was a long time ago. Digital marketing was absolutely still a component then. It has evolved considerably now.
Hmm.
Then you still had email marketing from both a lead generation and a nurturing perspective. You still had kind of targeted outbound lead generation where you would do like list building and list purchase and that type of thing. You did have some of your social networks, but that was a little bit more greenfield then compared to now.
Yeah, so it's really like a lot of email marketing basically.
Email was what digital was primarily at that time. I mean, you do understand, I'm not kidding when I say that we had fax machines and faxes back then. And we had some clients who their target audience, that was the way that they communicated was more via fax versus email. So we had to have fax marketing as something that we did for only a few, but very specific clients.
Fax marketing. So you basically
I
like
know.
fax people like a promotional material or like what is this?
At that point in time, we would use it kind of like a mix, a little bit more like a direct mail piece, I would almost say, where it's a personalized communication and letter still focused on what's the value that we can deliver and then how does the technology do that perspective. But yeah, and clear call to actions. I mean, then it was a little bit more about hopping on the phone and having a call or attending a specific event that was in a local region.
Cool. And why did you choose B2B tech as like the niche to focus on?
Yeah, so I have a business degree and a psych minor, and out of the college, I've had the opportunity to work at the time what was a smaller startup here in Austin called Trilogy.
Mhm.
That has since spun out hundreds and hundreds of amazing entrepreneurs. But that was B2B and that was tech. That was my first foray into tech specifically. And I found my passion. I have also done a little bit of B2C marketing, but to be honest, I always see myself as being the absolute my own worst target audience because I'm so critical of marketing when I receive it. And
Yeah.
so hence the focus on B2B because I'm still equally critical, but it resonates more with me. So
Hmm.
that's where the passion was born. And, we've tried other different verticals, we've tried different things over time, but that's just born out to where we have that knowledge, expertise, and passion to drive things forward.
Awesome. So compared to 2001 when you're doing fax and email marketing, it's now 2024. What do you feel like is like the most interesting, effective strategy that works best for your clients?
It's a great question, and I'm asked that oftentimes. And probably I'll give you a high level answer that would resonate across all. But really, it comes down to the individual company and who is the target audience or audiences that they're going after. Where can
Mhm.
they find them, and what resonates with them? And there is no cookie cutter way to say do the exact same thing for every single company or prospective customer because that just
Yeah.
doesn't work across the board. Generically, I mean, obviously, generative AI is a real new activity that many are getting involved with. I think that is critical for businesses, both us as an agency serving clients, but also for our clients reaching, connecting, and adding value to their customers to have AI play a key component of that. So weaving in how marketing is using AI, I think there's a host of ways, but it's definitely evolving. It feels like on a weekly, if not a daily basis.
Yeah, and like back what you were saying, you're talking about like knowing your customer, all those things. In a lot of ways, marketing hasn't really changed. It's like the fundamentals haven't. It's like have the right messaging, know what your customer wants, the problem's getting in their way, how you can solve that. Just the way
Mhm.
it's delivered is different. But the whole structure of
Absolutely.
mindset and the psychology hasn't really changed too much.
I would totally agree with that. Other shifts in that, though, I think the old guard used to really do a lot more features functionality focus when you're talking about technology, software, and selling, when
Mhm.
really it's about what is the value that's being delivered. And I think finally the masses have kind of shifted to marketing more what's the value that's being delivered. So that's a positive shift, but you're right. The fundamentals of marketing are still there. They're just applied across different mediums in different ways. I think now there's also a real critical component of creating a more personal one-to-one connection that's authentic
Mhm.
with target audiences as well. So I see that as an evolution too.
And how do you do that?
It's an ongoing process for sure, but there's so much that you can take advantage of technology wise to create more personal, authentic communications that resonate with whoever the recipient is based on their kind of communication style and preferences.
Right.
We're doing that more in how we communicate via email today. We're also seeing a lot of that in the digital media marketing, where you can actually serve up ads of different styles to see which is going to resonate with an individual. And then going forward, based on what they engage with, um, just send them ads that are more resonant with their communication style. So it's
I would
it's a personalization by persona, if you will, and it's all automated.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea I always had is what if we could like run ads in like a simulation and know exactly how people will respond to them so that way when we actually start spending money, we know exactly what's going to perform the best. And you're saying that like there's something like that that's already like kind of similar?
There is, except for it's a slight tweak. It's not that you can test a bunch of ads, figure out the one that works, and then just use that one. It is more about the ad that's going to resonate with you, Alec, might be
Mm-hmm.
ad A.
Hmm.
Who's the one that's going to work with Nancy might be version B,
Hmm.
and Jim might be version C. And so
Right.
it's going forward, knowing if you're an A style, that the ads that you receive going forward are of the A style, if you will. And I'm using
Sure.
ABC. It's kind of personality profiling. There are much more options than those three. But, if you think in life about communication styles, they're quite diverse with individuals. And so this is a way of moving that to digital media advertising and creating that one-to-one experience, or what appears to be a one-to-one experience.
No, I like that. And my name is Alex, so I think I would resonate with the A styles.
Yeah. I don't know. You could be a C style. I don't
I think
know.
you're a C style. That would make a lot of
I
sense. But who knows?
officially today I am. Yes.
So a lot of people say, hey, like LinkedIn is more B2B, while Facebook and Instagram are more B2C. I'm just curious, you work with a lot of B2B clients. Do you
Mhm.
use a lot of Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and those kind of platforms?
We don't. And I do continue to see studies, et cetera, that are showing some real successes in
Mhm.
that field. In transparency, we have tested Facebook and we do continue to test Facebook, maybe
Yeah.
not with a less of a goal of selling product, but sometimes just using Facebook organically for kind of culture, core values, communication for to support hiring needs, that type of thing.
Mhm.
We've done paid advertising. LinkedIn for sure with B2B is the best. We've done it in the past with Twitter, X,
Mhm.
mostly back when it was Twitter. But I've not per se explored TikTok or Instagram, just because when we look at the particular clients that we're serving and the
Mhm.
audiences that they're going after, that's not the place to connect with them as of now.
Right. That makes
Yeah.
sense. So I'm curious, what have been your own client acquisition methods that you guys have used to get clients for your own business?
Yeah. So what is it that they say? Cobbler's kids wear no shoes. We've tried not to do that. And so we actively have marketing for launch marketing on an ongoing basis. So
Uh,
we've focused in on search optimization. We've been doing it for years. We're definitely recognized as thought leaders in the B2B marketing topics. We have a lot of articles on third-party locations, including marketing profs and others. We've
mhm.
done webinars that have been global, where I've been honored to be a guest speaker, and many other locations as well, where that just helps to support organic inbound.
Mhm.
We do paid outbound. We've done LinkedIn, we've tested Facebook, I believe that we've done some Twitter in the past as well. And then we also do a lot of we have some partnerships in place. We've done traditional outbound demand generation campaigns, like more dimensional mailers
Mhm.
and event participation. And then we're based in Austin, Texas,
Yeah.
and also just some, networking in our local market as well. So we try to be really well-rounded, and we also try whenever there are new things we want to test, we'll test it on launch marketing as well. So like for instance, AI, that's coming on strong in this last year. So we've been focused on testing things internally at launch, and then those things that we're finding work well, we're applying to our clients.
Cool. Yeah, I was gonna say, Austin's a metropolitan area. Like, what have you guys done any marketing to specifically engage in that community?
Well, we are based here, and I've worked in tech now going on 25 years. So,
Mhm.
and I've worked both in tech startup side, venture capital, and now with clients and with entrepreneurs. So in that, I would say we're fairly well embedded into the community for sure.
Mhm.
So are actively out there, always continuing to kind of add our name into the mix. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, totally. Is there anything that you specifically do to like build your own personal brand?
I have always been one that's been more focused on building the company brand than mine. And so it's been less of a focus personally, but
Mhm.
certainly I am a part of Entrepreneurs Organization and Women Presidents Organization here in town.
Yeah.
And there are some amazing entrepreneurs that are really strong at helping organizations build brands, or they themselves have been focused on their personal brand. And There are a host of great ways to do that. Do you want me to share with you some of the things that I've heard and learned,
Sure.
even though I
Why
may
not?
not always apply them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I know there are quite a few books coming out now. The strongest thing for an individual or a company is that thought leadership positioning. And with that, being on a podcast such as this one is a great avenue. I mentioned I do on behalf of Launch webinars as well, articles, etc. A book is a great thing to do, especially when you want to build a personal brand.
Mm-hmm.
And so being active and engaged on social media, and then just taking advantage of speaking opportunities in Austin, and I know everywhere around the country where your listeners are or viewers are. There are a lot of events, and it's just about getting ingrained in there and being able to share something of interest and value with the local audience.
Awesome. So what of those are you trying to apply more of?
Oh, for me, I would say I'm a little bit more focused on growing the launch brand right now.
Mhm.
So, in particular, right now I've been doing. I'm trying to think where my priorities are. Right now, I've been focused in, most importantly, on some partnerships that we're growing, and those are kind of North America partnerships as opposed to just in the Austin area. But one of the key components of that is, giving back to other entrepreneurs. As organizations, the environment has been changing so quickly, business wise, that entrepreneurs and just senior leadership teams, even if they're not founders and entrepreneurs, are facing challenges for growth. And we kind of see that across the board in B2B. And so we're offering complimentary growth blocker discovery sessions,
Okay.
and which brings our expertise, because I've been around for a while, and then also provides immediate value to the recipient. So that's honestly where I've been focusing a lot of my time and effort, and very much enjoying putting that together and the impact that it's having.
Cool. Isn't there like a like an Austin startup week that happens every year? Something like that?
There is. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Yeah,
There's
I
one. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say Capital Factory, they are very well recognized in the area and are strong supporters of all things startup related, both B2C and B2B. And they're the hosts of a startup week in Austin, but it's very well attended.
Yeah,
And there are a lot of organizations that are involved in organizing and contributing to it and helping, this entrepreneurial community here in Austin grow and expand and have an impact.
cool. Well, I want to know, as a CEO, like what are some huge lessons that you've learned over the past few years on like how to be a better leader and run a successful company?
Sure. Gosh, I feel like I've learned lessons every year of my entire career, even before I started my company.
Mm,
But one of the things, that I've always been really focused in on is we're a services company, and it all comes down to the people and the right team in the right seats, really strong, authentic, transparent communication and support so that they're always learning, growing, and stretching.
mm,
Um, the next in people is clients. The next after that is partners. And
mm.
I always think if we have happy team, happy clients, happy partners, we'll have a happy launch marketing. And so
Yeah.
far, that's worked out really well. Um, so I would say the lessons that I've learned are really how are different ways that I can apply that philosophy and do that more at scale, right? Because I'm one person in the organization, but I influence kind of the other leaders who then influence the team. And so the goal is to have that be extremely cohesive across the board.
Yeah.
Um,
No. Mhm.
Probably another thing that I've learned is, you heard me mention it earlier. I think communication is at the root of everything. And so being able to be clear, concise, and transparent in communication is really key. Um, as a leader, I started my company literally the day before 9/11.
Yeah.
So I've had the opportunity to go through some amazing highs over the course of the last 22 years, and also some very, very challenging times. The 9/11 scenario, 2008, you could jump forward to 2016 to COVID hitting to today. So I feel like, gone through somewhat of the various cycles. And I think that positivity as well is key, but more importantly is the communication about where things are while still being positive. And so I've been able to navigate all of those scenarios so far. I wouldn't say with ease, but I've been able to navigate them, and we're still here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. When you talk about, communication, do you mean like while still remaining positive? Are you just talking about more of just like transparency and honesty about like the way things are, or what do you specifically mean by that?
I think all of the above. When you talk as a leader, you need to have a really clear mission and vision for the business and to be able to communicate that. We also have strong core values here at Launch, which is something that we live by. But as a leader, when I go back to that mission and vision, we established ours kind of back in that 2001 timeframe. And although, there's a guiding star of where we want to get, it's not a straight line to get there. So
Mhm.
being transparent about where we are, how things are headed, and what shifts maybe we're taking as a business in order to navigate COVID hitting or the financial crisis that, happened last year, that type of thing. We do need to be transparent about it, but still be positive, and authentic, you know?
I'm when I look at you, I kind of see you as like an anomaly because you're the female founder of a multi-million-dollar company. Just being a successful entrepreneur is, regardless of who you are, is so rare. Plus, you're the mother of what, two kids, and you have a family. Like, how have you been able to make it happen?
I ask myself that every day, because I want to be the best leader of my team as possible. And I also want to be an amazing mom and wife, and also just an individual. So I think the things that I've learned is that if you take like an upside down pyramid, if you
Hmm.
put yourself at the bottom, it sounds like you're at the bottom, but you're really taking care of yourself first, because if you don't, that pyramid is going to tip over, right? But if you can
Yeah.
take care of yourself, then it allows you to keep that
Uh,
pyramid upright, and it's going to wobble back and forth, meaning there is no way to give 50% to my family and 50% to Launch. It doesn't work. So you have to
yeah.
realize that there are going to be times when you're more in one direction and more in the other. And it might last a few months. It might just be a few days. Sometimes it might be a couple of hours, but it's just being really present and engaged in what you're doing. So
I like that analogy, the upside down pyramid. It's like if you don't take care of yourself, it falls over. But if you do, like you're still getting there, like the pyramid can stay. So that's interesting.
yeah,
Never heard
yeah.
that
And
before.
I've also learned that there are times like you can't have everything be out of control, if that makes sense. Like the family's got to be good if Launch isn't good, or Launch has got to be good if things are going on in the family, or because there's only so much wiggling that it can do. And so I kind of make sure I focus on that. But the biggest thing is me at that foundation for me being strong and solid.
Yeah, what is like you seem to have a pretty great mindset around things, and obviously that shows because you're able to, have this family, have this business. Like, where have you like learned to think the way that you think?
Hmm. Um, I see myself, well, so first of all, I mentioned that I have a psychology background. I am a person that observes things all of the time, takes it in and learns from it. It can be the smallest thing. It can be, getting a coffee at Starbucks and how the barista helps me, to really big decisions. I just try to take in and learn and observe from everything. I also would say that, I've heard this before, and I don't know exactly who said it, but it's this concept of you are a product of the 5+ people you spend the most time with. And
Yeah.
so I surround myself with amazing people. And because I'm an entrepreneur, a lot of them are very entrepreneurial. And as a female, I would say the vast majority of my friends are either entrepreneurs themselves or organizational leaders. They're movers, shakers, changers. And so they inspire me every day, the people that I'm around. And so my goal is always to give back and hopefully inspire them as much as I'm inspired by them. And I think that's what keeps me going. So it doesn't feel like an anomaly because I feel like I am surrounded by others who are similarly focused, committed, and impactful.
Totally. Yeah, it's easy to see, just like, oh, I surround myself with a bunch of entrepreneurs. This is all normal. We're all making this much. But when you look on the US as a whole, you're like, whoa, like I'm actually only one of so many other people, you know? So no, I like
Yeah.
that. It's a combination of being self-aware, which I think is kind of what you talk about with psychology, kind of knowing, keeping, accountability of yourself, taking care of yourself, and being around a lot of the right people. That
Yeah. And just observing and taking and learning. And I take every opportunity I can to continue to learn and grow, attending presentations, reading books, that type of thing.
what was one of the hardest lessons you've had to learn recently?
Oof. Well, so one of my personal things about me is I like to be in
Yeah.
control. I like to control
Yeah.
anything and everything. I'm sure it's probably quite relatable for others out there. And I think it's kind of really hit home in this last year that one is not ever totally in control. And so I think my big lesson that I'm working on in this phase of my life is knowing that I'm not in control and being more in the flow.
Well, what happened if you don't mind sharing?
Oh gosh. I wouldn't say it was one thing. I would say it was a multitude of.
Yeah.
I will say that. So if we look at 2023, I had a lot of very amazing and interesting things happening in my business, which I don't want to get into the details only because of confidentiality. Um, and that financial crisis kind of hit with the SVB
Hmm.
back in I think it was March, mid-March timeframe.
Yeah.
And, so that kind of impacted a lot of businesses where people hit the pause button real fast or things like that.
Yeah.
And so that impacted my business in a number of ways. I've also had um, a, a number of activity things that have occurred within my family and friend community
Mhm.
that have provided really big pivots and shifts in lives. And with that, I've had the opportunity to be there to support others. So it
Mhm.
just kind of provides a new direction. And even my kids, they're 14 and 16-year-old girls, and
Yeah.
um, as anybody that has kids knows, at this age, they're way smarter than you are, and you know nothing. And we're also trying to provide love and guidance, and so kind of going through that growing up phase, if you will. So,
Now you got two
and in all
teeny.
those situations, I really didn't have control. I'm just trying to go with the flow.
I know, I hear you. I mean, if you were to start like, let's say you were to have a conversation with, the Krista that just had started her company, what advice would you tell her?
It's interesting because when I do reflect back to when I started, and I did not come into this thinking or having a goal of being where I am today, or even thinking that I would be where I am today. So that's really interesting. Um, Probably the biggest thing that I would say is most entrepreneurs are wired to take risks. I'm
Mhm.
fairly conservative. I would say I take thoughtful, calculated risks. And so
Yeah.
probably the biggest lesson that I would say for myself would be take bigger risks, because
Yeah.
my gut is generally right. But I'll think on it for a while before I'll make that yes. So
What, okay.
it would be that.
What's a bigger risk that you wish you would have taken that you didn't?
So for me specifically, I think from a growth perspective, I'll just use an example. When I started my company, it was just me. I hired my first employee in year two.
Hmm.
I was young, I was single at the time, And so I literally did the job of two people and probably worked, I don't know, 70, 80 hours a week before I hired that first employee.
Yeah.
And so it's that kind of, I wanted to make sure that when I hired somebody, I could keep them and commit to them for a long period of time. And so that made me, for some reason, think that I needed like $70,000 the day I hired them, as opposed to $70,000 over the year that they worked there, to be
Yeah.
able to pay them. So it was kind of that desire to just do it myself, make sure it was going to be okay before jumping in with both feet.
Got it. Okay, so you would have taken more risk to hire the right people to free up more of your time.
I think, yeah, I think I would have taken more, that's a tactical example. I would have taken more risk to hire people faster, probably to grow faster than I did.
Mhm.
I stayed quite small until I want to say it was about 2014 or so is when I started growing more. Um, and that was truly a result of me just wanting to kind of go it slowly and be very, very conservative about it. And so that slowed things down. Yeah.
Yeah, so what happened in 2014? Like what changed in your mind?
I want to say, so I joined, so Entrepreneurs Organization, which is a global organization of entrepreneurs, had what is called an accelerator program.
Yeah.
And that program was designed for organizations between 250 and 1 million in revenue to help accelerate them over 1 million. At that point in time, that was what it took to get into EO. I think Austin's now their minimum's 2 million. But so that really surrounded me with other entrepreneurs, seasoned entrepreneurs, and they had kind of learning sessions and accountability groups. And that really helped me in propelling my growth. So, and now as a member, I actually am a coach to the accelerator program for 5 years now. So I'm able to give back and helping other entrepreneurs on their journey go through those steps where I was.
That's awesome. So really you're saying you owe it to the accelerator for helping you
I owe a lot to EO and the members of EO for sure, as far as that initial growth. But like I've been an EO member now for years and I'm still learning and growing. I mean, they bring such amazing speakers to the table to learn from. And
Yeah.
they're also just amazing members, even in our Austin chapter. But I don't know exactly how many. I'm going to say it's like 1,200 chapters around the world. I mean,
Mhm.
everywhere you can run into an EOer and they are awesome, awesome people.
Yeah, it's a great filter. So whether
Mhm.
it was more, personal or business, what do you feel like has been the hardest thing for you that turned out to be the greatest blessing?
Ooh, hardest thing for me that's been the greatest lesson.
Greatest blessing.
Oh, blessing. Sorry.
Yeah. Like it was hard in the meantime, but it turned out to be something you're really grateful for.
Hmm. Yes. There's so many of those. Um,
How about
can I share
one
a personal
personal,
one, or
one,
do you
yeah,
want me to share a professional one?
let's do one personal and one business. Start with the
Okay,
person.
sure. I'm going to start with personal. So I've shared that I'm an equestrian and have I mean, I rode my first pony when I was 5 years old, but I had a horse. His barn name was Shrek because that's reflective of his personality that I had for about 6.5 years. And he was amazing. We had a great partnership. And he ultimately colicked and died. And colic is kind of like twisting of the intestines. And he had emergency surgery, made it 2 days longer and then passed.
Mhm.
And that was very hard. I'm one of those people that my four-legged fur babies are family members as well. And I definitely went through some stages of grief with that. The blessing in that is after kind of taking some time and a year of looking, I now have a new horse, and it pushed me kind of in an evaluation process of what kind of horse do I want to ride? Do I want where I'm teaching the horse? Do I want to learn and grow as a rider? What's that combination?
Hmm.
And and it's helped me explore avenues and approaches, not just to the horse that I chose, but to my style of riding and where I'm riding and the things I want to accomplish, which are very different. I could say so many more, like I've learned so many lessons, but that was one that
Yeah.
popped in my mind, probably because I rode this morning.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool.
and so that's a very kind of specific one, but I think you can apply that to any aspect of life. Like, I've lost both my parents 12 years ago.
Mhm.
And so, the learnings and growings that I've had since then and that shift in relationship have been huge. Professionally, that something that's been the most eye-opening. Um,
Silicon Valley Bank.
no, yeah, that's not by far not the biggest. You know what I'll probably say one of the when COVID hit,
Yeah.
COVID shut down, at least in Austin, March 13th. We did have physical offices, but we did have everything cloud-based. So that whole week, I was just like, hey, take home your computers. So we were able to operate seamlessly as a company and our team members. But everything kind of paused. I mean, I think we lost like 45% of our retainer-based revenue by
Wow.
Monday, you know? So
Yeah.
all businesses were impacted. It put many companies out of business. But I will say the biggest blessing from that experience is, again, I'm going back to EO. I'm in a forum, and my forum and I, which so was a total of 8 entrepreneurs, we started doing weekly calls because there was so much happening and things were moving so quickly, and it was like trying to figure out, share ideas, share what we've heard, share what we're learning for options, share our struggles, ask questions, like just lean on each other and support each other. And those weekly calls were a lifeline for me. And I feel confident saying a lifeline for the entrepreneurs that I was on those calls with, because we helped each other so much get through those difficult times and figure out like what are adjustments we can make in our business? What are things we can do to give back to our communities or to our, business communities? Like Launch put out a ton of resources just free for businesses to help them from a marketing perspective with like step-by-step guidance, like here are the 8 things you should consider doing today, so that they could keep things moving forward, even though revenue was, and everybody was impacted by revenue.
Yeah.
So I think that was probably one of the most impactful things to me. As a leader, I would say my leadership style post-COVID has evolved from pre-COVID for sure as a result of that. And I think in a very,
Yeah.
very positive way.
That's awesome. Well, I have one last question for you. It's a
Sure.
deep one. So let's
Deeper
say,
than the last one.
yeah, it is.
Sorry, go ahead.
That'll be a good one then. Let's say it's the end of your life. You're on your deathbed and you get to leave the world with 3 truths, 3 things that you know to be true about the world around you. What are they?
Ooh, 3 truths. The possibilities are infinite. Take advantage and be open to them.
Hmm.
Number 2 would be there's something amazing to learn from every single person on this earth. It's
Hmm.
just a matter of taking time to learn it from them.
Yeah.
And and what is the third? Um, love, laugh, and smile
Hmm.
every day.
I love that. Those are great.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to
no,
listen to this recording and write those down because I like them too, but they're from the heart. Oh.
yeah, I thought you like prepared them or something, but no, it just
No.
I like this one prepared for this question before.
Do you not remember me saying at the beginning? I have no idea what you're asking me on this interview. I felt
Yeah.
very unprepared.
No. Well, thanks so much for sharing your wisdom and knowledge and your experience. And where can the audience follow you or learn more about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I launched marketing.com is the best place to find our company for all things B2B marketing. I am on LinkedIn and it is B2B tech marketer in order to access my profile. Because I joined LinkedIn so long ago, you could actually get a cool handle.
That's
So,
all. When did you join? What year was that?
oh, whenever it started, I don't know when it
2000
started,
whatever. Was it
honestly.
2005? I don't remember. Let me see. When did LinkedIn start?
Yeah,
It started in 2002.
there you go. See,
Officially launched May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, 2003.
2003. Okay. Yeah. So I probably joined in '04. I don't know, but pretty early. I tend to be because working in 50% of our clients are on the startup side in tech, and the other 50% are more mid-market. But on the startup side, I mean, you're like on the bleeding edge of innovation a lot, which is a really cool place to be.
Totally, that makes sense. Well, Krista, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you for your time. It was a pleasure meeting you. Have a great day.